Oh, yeah, the role, yes. I thought you said the role for, like, the lead on this presentation.
All right, so we'll call to order the regular Planning Commission meeting of February 5th, 2024. Jeremy, the roll, please.
Dixon,
Here.
King,
Here.
Stone,
Here.
Kenjuk.
Here. Okay, so I am chairing the meeting tonight because our chair and vice chair are not here, and we are waiting for a fifth person to make a quorum. So we are going to, So we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. So will you please all join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we approve the minutes? Okay. So because we can't have a vote until a person, we are going to skip and go to 6A, which is a mixed-use development proposal for 120 and 134 South Main, which is formerly the Village Cleaners and Collision Shop. This is just a presentation on a concept. And this is just for us to take a look at. It's not for any consideration tonight.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, for folks watching maybe on TV, so over the years, so over the years, the collision shop's been vacant, owned by the Rileys for 5, 6, 7 years now. We've had, I think, 3 or 4 presentations. I think most of you have seen those from Peter Stuhlreier's group. They came in first with a 6-story building, then a 5, then a 4. And the last direction we had was is zoned CBD. We know it's in a special project area, but we want to not, we don't want to break our whole rhythm as we come into town. So the Angot building on the other side of the street, on the west side, is a 3-story building. And that kind of set the bar for what we've been talking to developers about. So it's, again, every time the previous folks that come in, they just had the collision shop under. Who's doing that? Oh.
I'm trying to figure it out. We got it.
Okay. It was always the collision shop was under control, but not the cleaners. And traditional planning, to leave that stuck out, people were trying to come in with phased projects that, well, if we get the cleaners, then we can add on to the building, not clean. So, and working with Mr. Lombardo and his team, they have secured both properties. They have them, and I'm sure he'll explain this, under option right now and have for a while, and they've been working through with us. So we know it's a dirty site. It's been identified contaminated because of the cleaners and the collision shop, quite frankly. So this will probably be a brownfield ask, not for this board, but it's been brought to our attention that there's a good chance we would go down that route. So we had a bunch of meetings preliminarily. At one time, they were trying to change the alley to one-way, not these folks, but the other people. A lot of moving parts. This is way cleaner. So when we met this project, met the team, very excited about this. And we said, you know what, we haven't been doing this recently because we don't submit your plans if you want. They're willing to do that, but we thought it would be a good idea. You've never seen this with both projects, both properties involved. So if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, we'll take a look at this. The idea is, do you see anything erratic? There's one. So it's going to be a special project for one reason. When you see the way we calculate height is, this is a maximum 3 stories, 35 feet. This is 3 stories, but it's 5 feet higher because he'll explain about this parapet at the top. So in order for him to do that cleanly, then we would ask for a special project. The good news for us in a special project is we can work together with them for something that's a benefit to the community. You'll see that with the stairwell, et cetera, to get down to diversion. So, Frank, if you don't mind, we'll turn it over to
So it's just
that's it.
a little thing for a special project?
Yeah, because it's 5 feet too high. There's no other way around it. You can't go to the zoning board. They'd have to,
Well,
yeah,
you could lower it by 5 feet, right?
that's, let them make their case. So,
All right, thank you.
okay.
Go ahead, welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name is Brad Klein. I'm with Auger Klein Aller Architects. I'm here with Anthony Lombardo and Cosmo Lombardo, who will be the applicants with their group, the Cranbrook Custom Homes Group. And as Mr. Banda mentioned, we just wanted to introduce this proposed development tonight, which we will be, as he said, stated, pursuing under a special project for that height. Essentially, what you're seeing here, front elevation on Main Street, but it's the site which you're probably all familiar with, the old dry cleaner and auto shop site just north of the bridge coming into town on Main Street. So this site has a drop of about 25 feet from the Main Street level down the south and west or east sides of the site. So what we're proposing is a multi-story development with three main stories going up from Main Street level, but then a lower parking garage level that essentially gets built into the hill, if you will. The overall square footage of this building is right around 105,000 square feet, with the first three floors, or the three floors above grade, making that up. And then we also have rooftop patios and penthouses serving that patio for access. The mixed use comes in. The first floor is going to be commercial office with approximately 22,000 square feet of leasable space. And then the second floor is going to be 7 high-end residential units varying between 2,300 and 3,000 square feet. The third story, let me just flip through this a little bit. So again, the first floor with the commercial office space with tenant space in the blue. The yellow is also support space, the circulation core lobby, et cetera. Again, the second floor, the dark green represents the 7 private, single-family private residence units, with the support spaces being the light green and the yellow. They all have an external outdoor patio of approximately 300 square feet. The third floor are 3 larger private residential units, ranging from 5,500 to 6,500 square feet. And again, the main circulation cores. And then the rooftop, which services is the rooftop patio space for the third floor tenants, along with some penthouse space to access those rooftop gardens, if you will. And again, going back to the parking level, this is again built below the Main Street grade, into the hill, into the grade. The requirement for parking on this site with the office and the residences is, I believe, 105 spaces. What we can park on site are 62 spaces, majority of them in the interior lower level garage, with 6 exterior spaces that run along adjacent with the alley, the Main Street alley. So essentially you enter the site. These don't show up that great in here. You can enter the garage from Mill Street and circulate and come out of the garage and get to the alley, vice versa. And then there's a secondary garage for the third floor units where their spaces are also accessed off of Mill Street. So what we've done is essentially close off the 2 existing curb cuts on Main Street, which we believe is a great benefit for that area, with the location coming off the bridge. We'll slide back down here. So the top image here is a view coming into town from the south, and then The next image below it is the rendering showing the addition of the building with the, this mass here is this existing building right there. Again, moving a little closer to the site, existing, how it sits now to what we're proposing. Again, we've got the two main stories, the office, the first residential level, and then the third floor, we've stepped back, it steps away from the road, 12 feet on the Main Street side, more on the south. Again, this is a view looking at the existing structures and then what the proposed development is. And then as you're working around, this is the view from the north headed south along Main Street. This is a view on the east side, the back side, if you will, off the alley. This is another view from Mill Street, kind of looking at the main garage entry or the south elevation. And then this is a little more aerial, so you can kind of understand what's happening with the building in terms of the step back on the third floor and then the rooftop patios. As you can see in these images, the proposed materials are a majority masonry veneer, and then the darker material we're representing here is a metal panel, and we'll also be utilizing a drive-it type material with a stone finish for the cornice accents and other accent pieces, the limestone accents, if you will, around the building. Again, the special project comes in because our third floor, top of our third floor parapet is 5 feet above the ordinance maximum, and that was done due to the required plate heights or the floor heights, the clearance floor to floor, in order to make these residential units have enough clearance or ceiling height in these higher end units. We have a 14-foot floor to floor height to allow for our floor structure, supporting mechanicals and all of that, and still be able to maintain anywhere from 10 to 12 foot ceiling heights within at least portions of the units on each floor. And then the 43 spaces that were underparked, if you will be handled by paying into the parking fund. There's a number of public parking spaces south of this site that we'll look to probably utilize by office space tenants. And then a couple of the features that we're proposing to provide some benefit is a new stair walkway or just connecting stair to get people from the Main Street elevation down to Mill Street. I can slide back up to our, let's see if this clips in. So again, this is looking at the site, the dark gray being the building footprint. There's a stair right here we're proposing to traverse that grade change and make a connection that currently doesn't exist in this area. We have spoken to MDOT, Lori Swanson over there, and they are positive toward doing this stair within their right-of-way. They'll just be looking for a maintenance agreement to make sure the stair is maintained. But we'll be pursuing that permitting process should we gain approval with this body ultimately. The overall timeline of the project is the target construction start date is summer of -- envisioning a approximately 16-month construction period. And that's pretty much the project in a nutshell. Certainly happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Guys have any questions?
I do.
Go
Would
ahead.
you wanna?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Can you help us understand, like, looking at the view from the sky to the roof there? What's going on with the rooftop? What's causing like the extra 5 feet and,
So again, so the plate heights for each floor from first to second, second to third, and then third to the top of the third floor are 14-foot plate heights. So in order to gain or reduce this, we're lowering each floor by 2 feet, which starts to really compress the residential units and, the expectation of the demographic of, the people that would be buying or purchasing these units.
no, I'm just asking, like, you see the green rooftop, but then it looks like there's a smaller building on top of the building, and then one off to the side. I don't know if that's stairwell or something.
This here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a stairwell. So with these two, they're two independent rooftop patios, so you need two means of egress, so the stairwells have to access the rooftop. And then in this penthouse structure here houses the elevators and the other stairwell.
As well as covered space. Anthony Lombardo, by the way, as well as covered. So the intent of this building, low-density residential, high-end, somewhere between $1.8 million and that penthouse is who knows what. Me and my partner plan on living here. In order to get low-density, high-end residential, especially in the penthouses that are 5,000-6,000 square feet, you need a patio space. So what we did, we went on the roof and created a covered little space, so when you go up to your patio space, you have somewhere, if the weather's bad, you can stay up there, as well as a rooftop terrace. That's really why we need the additional 5 feet. If you're gonna build this high end of a unit, especially with the penthouse floors, you need that space. Or you're not gonna get this type of building, you're gonna get what was previously proposed, much more density, smaller units. So that's, to be very direct about it, is if we don't have those covered spaces in the penthouses, the project doesn't work for us, me and my partner.
And what's the ceiling height within the covered spaces?
And up here on the penthouse, yeah, probably about 8 to 9 feet.
Nothing over the top. In those spaces will be a small little bar, barbecue area, something just so, that's like for the penthouse suites, that's their backyard space if they lived on a conventional lot.
And then is it glass railings around?
On
Whatever he tells me.
Yeah, I mean, we are showing a lot of open rail around, the perimeter here. And the other thing, if you notice, it's step back, so this is, roughly 18-19% of this, the overall roof square footage, the enclosed space. Which you can see when you're on street view and, away, you don't really see the space. You see a little bit of it right here when you're, well south of town. Here's another image. I mean, obviously the stair tower goes up.
How far is it step back from, so the 5 feet really is for the rooms that we have there covered, right?
Well, the 5 feet is on the third floor step back, or
Okay.
I'm sorry, the 12 feet is the third floor, step back. On the rooftop here, it's well beyond that. This is about, it's a good 40 feet back or so, 40, 50 feet from the Main Street elevation.
Okay. I had a couple other questions. What's the width of the sidewalk area?
So we're maintaining on Main Street, we're, I'm not sure what's happening here. There we go. Sorry. Let's catch up.
You can get it from one of the bottom pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this isn't working. Here we go. So right now, the existing portion of this current sidewalk is, there are a couple, 3 tree planters, but we have, you know, probably close to 20 feet out front. And we're just kind of maintaining where the property line, because that's actually we're right almost on our property line. We're about a foot to 16 inches beyond, east or off the property line, and then it's the rest of the right of way, so it's kind of the existing right of way that's there. So we're extending that down to the south, and then that's where that proposed stair picks up, right here to bring everybody down
To
to
Mill Street.
Street level.
And then I was looking at Mill Street, and there's the alley that comes off of it, which you guys will use. That would be the entry for the parking, or maybe the exit. But I noticed there's a lot of telephone poles along there and wiring. What's the plan for that?
So, actually have a meeting, next week with DTE to look at, you know, what the options are to resolve that.
Okay.
Because right now we're approximately 5 to 6 feet, our east building line is about 5 to 6 feet, west of the current power lines. So we'll be working with them to see what the options are.
So Nick, what,
Yeah,
are you allowed to have an opening onto an alley?
Yeah, we have First Street Lofts did it. It's Polk Alley, and they use that as the driveway to get in. That's how we did First Street Lofts. That's their only way in. So here we get rid of all the curb cuts on Main Street. Everybody else wanted to have a major curb cut. MDOT was fighting it, saying, at best, you're gonna get right in and right out, never left in or left out. And when we went to MDOT and showed them this, nothing on Main Street, they were ecstatic, so. And we thought we were gonna have to vacate the alley, change directions to get to it now. Nope, there are people who have to know where they're going to get there. You come in only from Mill Street up and make a left in. That's a one-way alley going north, obviously, so. Yeah, and the property line, it's zero, it's CBD, so you have 0 setbacks, so like all the buildings on Main Street, you can build right to the property line. They're a few inches off of it, like 16 or something, so. To us, it's a lot of pluses compared to everything we've seen on this project so far. And again, it's its own world, the skyline test, there's nobody to block. This kind of sets its own pace, being where it is, at that end of the, coming off
Yeah.
the bridge.
And the access to the parking from the alley is really a convenience. All the parking can be accessed from Mill Street, and the drives, the space, the aisles within the garage are 2-way. So people can get in and get out Mill Street if they want, or utilize, the alley, if that works better.
Are you all set, sir? Rich?
Yes,
Yeah.
in regards to the parking, I think I heard you say that a portion of the parking is going to be dedicated to the 3rd floor?
Correct.
And how many of those spaces would be dedicated?
18.
So 18 spaces would be dedicated to basically 3 units, 6 per unit?
Approximately, yeah.
Okay, so that seems as if it would be taken away from, I'm not sure exactly how to say this, but it seems like the rest of the complex, the 2nd floor units and then the businesses, you probably would need more than what's been allocated or what's been stated.
Right,
because-
so the main shortfall comes with the office tenants. The 2nd floor residential tenants all have 3 spaces allotted to them in the, I'll call it the larger bulk parking area. Let me slide up there.
So to that end, would not the penthouses of those 16 spaces need a minimum of 3?
Yeah, so they need 9.
So they need 9, so there's a spread of 7.
There's 18 there. 3, 6, 9.
18, so there's a
Yeah,
spread of 9.
yeah.
To your point, there's a spread of 9.
Okay. And then another question I have is regarding the stairwell going down to Mill Street. Any idea what that's going to look like? Is it, I almost envision it being something like walking down a stairwell at a stadium or something like that, rather cold and scary at night.
Well, I mean, we haven't dug into all the detail yet, but our envisioning is it will be lit, and we want to use more, warmer materials than a mass of concrete, let's put it that way. So,
Okay.
and just looking at how we're, going to support that, our main retaining wall is back here where our entry drive is, so, we see this being, not heavy concrete construction, but something a little lighter, something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing than a brutal concrete mass.
Okay.
Probably wood and or metal.
Right.
The stairs going down from the Pumas.
That's all I have.
Matt, any comments?
Can you go to view one that looks up Main Street from the bridge? Yeah, there you go. So, the top picture, from Google Streets or whatever, shows the trees on the right.
Correct.
You're rendering the one below it, shows more trees. Are those the same trees you're saving, or are those trees
No,
after like 10 years of
those
growth?
ultimately will be newer trees. Right now, there's 42 trees on site, kind of in this area and around, that, 2 of which are protected trees, so obviously we'll work with that calculation to replace those protected trees. But most of the trees that are, the existing trees will come down, and then we'll put back after, once construction's done.
So then, once the building's built, you'll plant a tree that has a 2-inch or less diameter, and it's gonna take a few years to get to that size, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just so we're all clear on, it's gonna look really big at first. The other comment I have, between the windows on the front left of the building there and the windows back towards Mill Street, there's a bunch of brick. I think I caught the comment that that's the stairwells and other mechanical purposes. Is there any way to add maybe more glass or something a little different there?
To here, you mean?
Yes, sir.
There, we could add some glass, and this is, so we got the stairwell here, which we have glass coming down. And then in plan, I can show you, let's go to the residence. So we've got the stairwell, right here, that's on the 3rd floor. This is the 2nd floor. We've got, some corridor, so we're trying to add glass there.
I think we'll look at what you're suggesting. It might not necessarily be glass. We could study the plan a little bit, right? The answer right now is probably not.
Right, just
And
something
if
to
not,
break
we'll-
it up, look more
If not, we'll
warm.
do some accent material that maybe simulates glass or simulates something. We just gotta give us a little time to study that.
Now, on the north side, we're limited on how much glass we can put there for building code. We have offset our north elevation 5 feet from the property line, just to allow us 25% glazing or opening on that elevation. While there isn't a building next door right there, right now, it ultimately could be built on one day. So we've got to follow the building code in terms of how much glazing we're allowed with how far the ultimate separation would be if somebody were to build to their property line on the north lot to the north.
And then last question for this evening, view 3 proposed building, I see the white going up the road to the north.
This here,
No, go up to the top picture you show, or the top rendering.
oh, here.
No, the top, like.
View
there you go.
3.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So to the left of that, if I go up North Main Street, keep going north, keep going, beyond your building, right? Beyond those trees, there you go, now we're into the white. Is that to scale the existing buildings?
Yeah, everything in here are the existing scaled buildings.
Okay,
You've got it, Tom.
thank you.
Anything further? Not right now.
I have one more. View 4, I guess, on the, so that would be the north end of the building. Is that just a concrete path between what's now, I think, Penn Station and the property, or is there anything that would go in there?
Right, right now there would be sidewalk on this portion. It transitions to grass, a strip of grass that then slopes down to the alleyway. it's kind of this strip, and can I zoom in? How do I zoom in? Let's do this. Okay. There we go. So you can see where the green kind of picks up here. Right now, there's kind of an alleyway, but it's not really traversable. It's very steep, and I mean, right now, especially north of our site, in not very good condition. But again, our property line stops right here where you kind of see the edge of the green, and then the heavier black line here. So we're bringing sidewalk out here from our egress stair, and then once we kind of get beyond here, that'll just get transitioned to grass.
Is the intention that it would be a walk through there, or no?
It could be. Again, it's pretty steep grade there, so it would be, it wouldn't be ADA accessible or anything like that.
We don't want people walking in that alley anyway, so you would stop it there and then it would tie into the sidewalk in front of Penn Station. That's where it stops, right where it's at. Right
So
there.
maybe there could, is there room for a
Trees.
tree or something that could soften that brick wall?
I would think so.
Yeah, we could put something in there, if not some taller plantings.
So again, just, you don't have to say anything, they can formally submit, and we'll take it through the process, so. I think Anthony answered a little bit of comments, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. Thank you very much, by the way.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comments. Appreciate how much detail you put into it, too. You do it well.
Thanks. All right, so,
So nothing from Gasson?
no, I don't know why, so, it's not good. Eric's on a plane, he texted Matt back, so we can't take action on this, so all you can do is postpone this. You could try to have a meeting, not wait a month, so Mr. LaChurco's not stuck for another month.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Nick,
Yes, video. Oh, yeah. Video.
Video? You have a
If-
comment?
yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nick, I believe since the public hearing has been notified, you can conduct the public hearing. If you do not conduct the public hearing, you will have to go through the whole notification process all over again.
Just couldn't took action, that's a good point.
You cannot take action. However, you can complete the public hearing portion of it, so you do not delay it for another notification round, which would be 15 to 30 days.
I'm good with that.
That was going to be my request
Okay,
as well.
yeah,
to ask if we could do
absolutely.
that.
Christian, did you have any comments? No?
I did, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to participate here remotely. So I did have a question. I noticed that there was a lot of information that was presented at the particular meeting, but I didn't see it in the packet. Nick, is there a way that you could email that to me so I could see the renderings and the drawings and maybe give you some feedback directly?
Yeah, they hadn't officially submitted anything, so we have it electronically, we can get
Sure.
it, and then we'll ship it to you, yep.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right, well, we'll do the public hearing, so then, let's go back. So at 7:42, we'll open the public hearing. Is there any public comments?
So what, you usually have the presentation from the developer
Oh,
first,
do you
then you
want
open
it?
the public hearing, yeah.
Good point. We'll close, so we won't open the public
There you
hearing
go.
at 7:42.
Good evening. Again, my name is Jim Epping. I appreciate you allowing us to go forward with the public hearing. Certainly appreciate the public being present. I'm a land planner in Clarkston, Michigan, representing tonight Joe LaChurco and his team. We have on your agenda 2 public hearings, one for 210 diversion, the other for the property immediately kind of northwest, which we call the Preserves of Rochester. At your last meeting, you allowed us to present these together because they really are kind of sister projects, and so we'll do that again if you'd like. Vidya, I apologize. I'm going to minimize you here in the room and pull up my
Oh,
screen.
please do.
Let's see. So The commission has saw this presentation right at the middle of December. And so we'll go through it again quickly, but not all of the public has had an opportunity to do this and see this in the past. So I wanted to go through those details with, again, the commission and the public, as well as those on TV. We have been working with the city of Rochester for about the last 24 months or so. Joe has been very focused with his team, or I should say teams, on these projects. The reason we're submitting separately is Joe LaChurco is the primary partner on both projects, and so kind of that unifying force, but has different partner teams with those. And so because of that, they're two applications, but really creating one neighborhood. The projects themselves are really almost across the street, across Main Street and down below the bridge from where the previous project was just being discussed. This is the Clinton River right here, and as we're moving north into the city of Rochester. Our 210 diversion, this is right where diversion turns almost a right angle and then goes up to those existing stairs under the bridge. 210 diversion is here. Actually, this tail is actually in the city of Rochester Hills, and that will just remain open space, but it is technically part of this parcel. And then we've got another 5.5 acres here, which is commonly known as a Van Horn trucking site, which is no longer operational, but still, somewhat of a blighted site currently. What I'd like to do is show a video that we showed last time. It allows me to talk a lot less, and I think gives a good overview of the property. Working with your planning commission, we've worked on everything from architecture to placement to views to circulation. The fire chief has been very instrumental in making sure that the properties are set up appropriately for fire and safety. And we're really happy with the way not only the architecture works, but the public amenities such as the sidewalks, the trails edge along the river, and some of the other amenities that we're developing. So I'll play this. It doesn't have music or narration, so I'll just open up from time to time. The building on the close right is an existing building. The 3 buildings, 2 in the back and 1 to the left, are the new buildings that are being proposed. We just wanted to show the existing building in relationship. This first on the left is 210 diversion, which is 21 apartment units with some interior parking and then a garage to the side that we'll also see. That's looking into the Van Horn trucking site, and then the 2 buildings, the preserves of Rochester, that'll be located there. We're going backwards over the existing bridge, now over the river. The building on the left is the existing building. So the preserves, the first building, straight looking there is 210 diversion. 210 diversion will be a 4-story building. The preserves will be 2 5-story buildings. First floor of the preserves on both buildings is just entirely indoor parking. We mentioned at our last meeting that we've reoriented the preserves building to really open up the view and be able to continue looking west. Some of our earlier plans block that view. That's an existing easement to the left there that goes through, and will really just be a continuous green path that connects some of the open space. Now we're looking on the west side, looking back east or towards Main Street, and you'll see those are the only entrances to the first floor parking. There won't be a gate at the preserves. It'll just be open parking, and those windows on the side will be open as well. They won't have glazing for circulation. It'll be landscaped on all sides. 210 now looking in. We'll have 3 terrace level or at grade or below grade apartments in the basement. We'll have about 8 parking spots inside, with the majority of the parking either on the surface, or you'll see some private garages there to the left.
And that's a great video. I think everybody should have into the
you.
future.
It does help.
Wow.
in,
Raising the bar.
That is really
we
good.
appreciate that. Again, I'll go through some of the statistics quickly for the members of the public who are nice enough to come tonight. Both properties are zoned, well, the Van Horn trucking site is zoned industrial. The 210 diversion actually has two zonings, industrial and office. And what we're asking for is a special projects designation tonight. We started 2+ years ago looking at special projects because that was really the option. Since that time, your new master plan has actually redesignated this area as multifamily, and these projects are exactly consistent with that multifamily designation. We've stayed with special projects because frankly we are into that process, and also it's my belief that your ordinances really haven't caught up with your master plan in terms of rezoning. So it seems to be, you know, kind of a chicken and egg thing, but from at least our perspective, this is exactly suited for your master plan, the vision of multifamily, where actually our buildings are shorter than your master plan would see there. And our density, because we've concentrated that density, is less than what your master plan actually would envision for these sites. The reason we're presenting them together is they really are designed as a campus. It's really about green space. Just about 50% of the total parcel is in either open space or green space. We have a large detention, which will be a decorative pond with fountains. We're obviously up against the Clinton River, and you'll see in our submission package that that's a lower terraced area that really we're going to improve it with walking trails, with benches, with landscaping. The intent is, though, for that area to be more environmental than a mowed lawn. And by that I mean we're going to regrade that area, put in the path, put in the walking path, put in the trails and the landscaping, but we're going to plant it with a no-mow grass. So you could expect to see that grass probably mowed once a year, brush hog, but it would be anywhere from 12 to 18 inches, other than on either side of the trail. We'll mow 4 or 6 feet on there. Reason we're doing that is we think it's environmentally smarter way to do it. We won't be mowing, we won't be putting chemicals and fertilizer down in that area. Up around the buildings, much more typical of what you would see in terms of a nicely landscaped neighborhood in a project, mowed lawns, fertilized, obviously well landscaped and so forth. We've got trails, both concrete sidewalks and wood chip trails traversing through the whole area. That swath of green between the 210 diversion and the southern of the preserves building is actually a 60-foot easement. That easement is to allow access to the property below us in the white, which is actually the city of Rochester Hills. There's an adjacent property owner who has rights to that easement. That easement will be maintained. It'll never be a through street. It could theoretically become a driveway to get to that property. We don't anticipate it, but it certainly could be accommodated in here, and you know, those rights are preserved for that access. The preserves, looking at the northern property in terms of numbers, we are proposing 72 residences. That's 36 in each building. Again, there'll be 4 stories of residential, 1 and 2 bedroom units with ground floor parking. The big amenity there is that trail and access points both on the diversion street sidewalk, and then some connection points within our site to get down to that trail. We don't have the ability to connect that trail further west. You'll see a loop and some inner looping trails, but it gets real marshy back there in that as we go further west. And so, as you guys know, the primary trail within the city is on the north side of the river. So just by going over the Diversion Street Bridge, they can join the larger trail system. In terms of architecture, we've done an awful lot of work with architecture in terms of materials. They're almost entirely masonry buildings, brick buildings. There is some hardy board, longboard type siding on there, and some of the aluminum soffits and cornices and things like that. They'll have the steel canopies over the door, and have an awful lot of interest in terms of the window glazing, the matching balconies. Everybody has a balcony, of course, and an awful lot of large windows into each of the units. The two buildings are specifically offset from each other, so we don't create this, you know, kind of shadowy tunnel, but you'll see on the site plan where they're offset. The one on the right or the north is brought closer to diversion, and the one on the south is pushed further west. The garages, again, are on the west side, so when you're coming down diversion and around this curve, you're really looking at the architecture, the heavy landscaping, signage where we understand Vidya's made some, I thought, good comments about the signage, and so we'll continue to work with the city in permitting that sign. Right now, we're looking at kind of an industrial monument-style sign, but you'll see in a minute that 210 has the lettering on the building, and there's certainly opportunities to do that here too. So we'll continue to work with the city administration. This is the south looking north, and this is really meant to say that all four sides of these buildings are really finished. There is no back to the building. It steps down a little bit, so that first ground plane again is the garage with the residential above. I should take that tree out because we really designed the center road to feel a little bit like a main street, or at least a street. I don't know about a main street, but a street in terms of sidewalks, street trees, lights, benches, and then the access points to the building. 210 Diversion, again, is a smaller building. It's 4-story instead of 5. It has 21 residences in it. And these units are a little bit bigger than the preserves. They all have a dedicated office space or a den within the units, as well as a majority of the parking either indoors or an optional garage off there to the east. The ceilings are about 1.5 feet taller in these units, so we expect those to be a little higher end, really quite nice. And the idea here is that within this neighborhood, as we add to this corner of the city, to not just build units that are exactly the same, but to provide kind of a cross-section for different people, you know, young people, old people, people who want a smaller apartment, a one-bedroom, or someone who wants, you know, kind of a home office type environment. 210 will have the main entrance, the lobby entrance, off of the east side of the building down into the parking lot. We're excited about this detail where we'll have a brick wall with steel cabling where some vines will be able to grow up, and the address on the building itself. So there won't be a monument sign out on this building. This is looking from the west, looking east or towards Main Street behind it. Again, this will be really the sunset side of the building, and so the majority of the balconies are on this side, really all the light coming into the homes. You'll see that we've broken up the 4th story so that it just has a little different architecture. It tends to make the building not look as tall and gives it, we think, really great character. This is what we'll see coming down Diversion from like the first street, and as we come down that slight hill over the river, we'll be looking at 210 Diversion. And with that, you know, we've submitted pretty thorough packages for both projects individually in terms of engineering. We've already taken care of things like floodplain issues, working with the state on those type of things. So in terms of permitting, the 2+ years has given us an awful lot of time to not only work on the architecture, the planning, and kind of the character. I always look at it from what's it going to feel like, what's it going to look like in our city. But from a technical side, our engineers have been very busy, and so we know we can move forward quickly once the community feels comfortable with that, and we're anxious to continue to grow the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Was there any questions?
Go ahead.
Rich?
Yeah, I was taking a look at the plans over the weekend, and if you could go to the slide with the campus view.
Sure.
Yes. I noticed that most of the trees between the pathway and Clinton River are, the best rating is fair. There's a large number that are rated poor or very poor, and my experience, those trees are probably dead or almost dead. I don't know if that's truly the condition, but you know, for them to be rated as such, they're not in good shape. So I guess I'm questioning why those trees are not being removed if you're putting so much into the landscaping.
Well, it's a good question. We are removing a fair amount down there, but we wanted to leave them, especially near the water's edge. really back to the environmental issue is they do stabilize the bank. They do have some brush underneath them, so we're clear out some of that brush, but our goal really is for a large majority of that river's edge, both by the bridge and then over at the western edge, to leave it as natural as possible, to improve it, to make it usable, but to still have some of that natural character as opposed to just, boy, you guys just cleared the land and went right up to the water. I agree with you 100% though, if the trees are, you know, clearly dead or about to die, we're not going to do any grading there that would bury the trees. We're aware of that, of course. But our goal would be to leave that edge, you know, very natural and you know, ecologically sound.
Because I guess my view would be that it's my understanding you're going to be paying some money into the tree fund to begin with. Why not take that money and, you know, put more of the trees into that property and you know, improve it? Because I think you've got a beautiful piece of property and there's so much to offer with that trail going along the river. I'd hate for somebody to be walking down that path and like, God, why did they leave this stuff here?
Hey, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a good idea. You're right. On 210, we're actually paying into the tree fund, I think, 9 trees, and we'd be thrilled to put those along the river. I suppose even if we put it into the tree fund, the city would look for a place to plant those. So if we're able to do that, we certainly would love to. As a landscape architect, I believe that probably a lot of those tree evaluations are once we get onto the site and there's going to be an evaluation. And since Joe works and lives just within a walk of it, you know, we'll be here every day. And if we're able to, you know, continue working with the city, I think that I've always been hesitant to just, and most engineers love to do it, is just say, let's just get rid of every tree and we'll plant new.
No.
I'd rather almost say, let's save what we can and then take out the ones that make sense.
I agree with you there. In fact, that cluster there in the middle, that's probably the worst. Like probably
Is it right
80 or
there?
90% of those are rated poor or very poor.
Okay, I appreciate you looking at it in such detail. We'll take a close look and we'll replace what we need to.
All set? Anybody else?
I was just going to make a comment. I wasn't able to be here during the December meeting, but I just want to thank you because I was here at prior meetings and I know we were a little tough on the original plans. I think what you came up with here is beautiful, huge improvement over what, you know, what the 3-building structure, and we had concerns about, you know, the water and everything. I think this presents a lot nicer, makes a great use of the space along the river, and really works with the layout of the property. So, very impressed with what
I
I've seen
appreciate
here.
it, thank you.
One quick question though, the diversion, is that a carport there?
No, it's actually a full garage. I don't know that I have
Or
pictures.
there's like, off to the right there.
This long, narrow building?
Yeah,
It's actually a full garage. It'll be 7 individual garages with garage doors with decorative windows.
got it, okay.
So not a carport, but similar in size. We talked about, and it's fully brick, so all sides are brick. Vinnie had some good ideas about the brick detail on the back, which made a ton of sense as we looked together at it more closely. This is actually the right-of-way for Main Street, and it goes up pretty steep, so that'll still be a brick building, but there won't be opportunity for a lot of like intricate brickwork, but it'll still, you know, still be a nice building.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one other, sorry. Are any of the units going to have bathtubs in the bathrooms?
It's a great question. I don't know. Nothing planned.
I know if it's possible to work them in, I think you should consider. I don't think it's as friendly for families without. I know two bedrooms is not big for a family, but if you have a young couple, they have a kid,
Right.
having a bathtub is really important. I've seen other developments without them, and it really rules that out, I think, for younger families.
You get that toddler, right?
Yep.
It's a good point. Take a look at it.
Okay.
One question, and I echo Sarah's comments, it's much improved. Thank you for that. The Google Street View shows a bunch of utility poles or phone poles. Do those all end up being removed in buried line, or are those just not showing up on the rendering?
On the main, on
Yes.
version?
Yeah.
We haven't been able to bury those, have we? No. No, they are there. They kind of go and then turn. We show them on our site plan. Frankly, DT just, despite all, I think as we have fewer and fewer outages, but it's very difficult to bury lines now.
Thank you.
I just reiterate, I think it's much improved and looks like a very nice project.
Thank you.
If she wants to add anything.
Yeah, Vidya, do you have anything to add?
I would just like to respond to Commissioner King's comment. I wanted to pull up the garage on the screen that Mr. Epping described. If my screen could be shown over there. Are you able to see the elevations?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the garage building, Commissioner King. It's an all brick building with doors, and it's completely screened from view when you're driving west. So I just wanted to share this, and there is nobody on Zoom right now who has their hand raised for any comments, since this is a public hearing.
Councilmember Hauser, do you have any comments?
Yes, just a few. Actually, just one. I want to echo Councilperson King's comments that I know when you first came to the meeting and presented your initial plans, it was not necessarily, it was received well, but we certainly asked for some improvements, and you went back and did exactly as what was asked, and that the current iteration, the current version, is something that I think is a really well done job, and I appreciate all the work that you guys have done, you and your design team. So thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to provide constructive criticism and feedback, and it was well received. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. City Manager, we ready to open the public hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so at 8:04, we'll open the public hearing. Is there any comments from the public? Come on up. Introduce yourself, name and address for the record, please. Welcome.
Hello, Briggs Pilley. I'm a resident at the Mill Trace condos down in Mill Street. That's beneath a lot of these. So I know I read the plan, and there were some things in there about traffic studies. So I just think that's important to think about when you're putting this many units down there on Diversion Street, especially if you think about that other project that's also going to empty into Mill Street. And I think we saw when the Quinder was under construction this past summer, how much traffic came through downtown Rochester and down through Mill Street. And Mill Street's not really a street, it's kind of an alley, right? It's kind of this dead-end little turn there. So when you got that much traffic coming down there, that's a lot of traffic. So I didn't see the studies, I don't know what they said, I just think we should pay attention to that, since we have all this emptying into diversion and then all that stuff coming into Mill Street potentially later on.
Good,
If we
thank
can,
you.
I'd like to share, we can share the data with you so you can see. It talks about the delays on Main Street to get out. People would go to diversion up around the Main Street or, different ways. But we can get you all that data so you can even know a little bit more. So it's additional, sorry to turn my back here. It's additional, but it didn't get past the point of tipping where it doesn't make any sense anymore. Because there could be an industrial plant there, so you have to weigh that, how many cars you might have to.
And I applaud the development, and I love to see some of this stuff. I'm just a little worried about those little tiny streets down there that get pretty clogged pretty fast.
That's fair. Very good, thank you. Anything further from public? Ms. Peterson, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Ann Peterson, 233 North Alice. It's been a long time since that project. I think I was still on planning at that time when that originally came through. I'm very excited that this is a nice looking project. I think it's going to look nice down there. I do have a question though regarding time frame from when the other project's going to get started. And again, for the public, how many cars is that one going to have? Because that is a small area, of course, and I think it's going to be, even with First Street lost with the 0 lot line there, it's going to be probably even more congested at times, but I don't want that to stop the project. I think more consideration needs to be given to that whole corner in regards to traffic and what it's going to do in the future with as many cars that's going to go through there. So, but I think it looks nice. I think it looks really good, and far cry from where it was too, but it's a really nice project, so thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Name and address for the record, please, and welcome.
Hi, Mayor. Haven't been here in a while. Sky Beaton, 655 Bollinger Street.
Thanks for your email today.
Yes, good to see you. Project's great. Can we put a Hawk signal system at that? I drive through there all the time because I just live up the hill. But can we look into putting a Hawk signal system at that one crossing? Because I slow down the trail crossing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you know what a Hawk signal is, right?
Yeah,
I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, the flashing lights, so.
We
already put it there, didn't we?
It's a pedestrian-operated traffic signal.
I think it's already there. We just put them in.
You just put them in? No, there's not one there.
Not there.
Then it's on, so the answer is we were doing there, Ludlow, and Second, so if it, I would have bet it was already in. The answer is there will be one there.
Good, I'm glad to hear that, because people fly through there all the
Oh, yeah.
time, and there's constantly people walking their dogs and bikes and all kinds of stuff going through there, so that'd be a terrific amenity there.
Yeah, it's already paid for, the city paid for them.
Great,
And so
appreciate
the
that.
answer is yes.
And hats off to the development, I think it's really pretty good.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, we'll close the public hearing at 8:09.
So.
I apologize to the applicant. I think we're ready to vote, but.
Can I ask a question real quick? Has it been talked about, I know for other projects, we required some sort of development agreement and bonding in the case that the project doesn't go for, doesn't get completed. Has that been talked about in this instance?
Vidya, I don't think that we have.
Thank you, Nick. No, we have not yet discussed the bonding for this particular project, Commissioner King. That is typically a condition the Planning Commission adds when they make a recommendation to the City Council when you send it on. So if you had been taking a vote tonight, that would have been one of the things you could have added as a condition, but it's not been discussed yet.
Okay, I feel like it should be something that all developers are aware of upfront, that it's something that we've started requiring on projects, I think consistently. So I don't know if the city's communicated that, but I don't want it to come as a surprise as we're voting yes, and then that comes up.
Yeah, that's fair, and for the developer, so the idea is if you started and stopped, you put up a bond, a surety bond to put it back to the grass if you don't finish. So we did that on First Street Lost, we did that on.
Well, we
not
almost
First
had
Street
to,
Lost,
to action on it on the
Glendale,
townhomes
Glendale.
there
Yeah, so we've done that.
after the hurricane, tornado.
Windstorm.
The windstorm.
Windstorm.
Straight lines windstorm, yeah. So, good point. We can share that with them.
Okay, so Mr. City Manager, this comes up at the next,
Yeah, I mean, unless you had a special meeting, problem is I know the chairman and I think Mr. Hauser aren't back this whole month. So if we had Gaston and Lord here, I guess we could do it, but, or it's almost 30 days.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I'll be back on February 12th for city council, but unfortunately I won't be back after that till March 2nd. I'm sorry about that.
so can the applicant wait? You're gonna have, or is,
It would be the 4th of March.
Doesn't sound like even a special meeting logistically would help.
well, I mean, in theory, I guess we could see if other people, there's two other people who,
And we have, unfortunately, we have a vacancy on the commission, which we're gonna fill eventually, but
You
not
could
yet.
explore that.
What's that?
You could explore a special meeting.
But then you still have to, yeah.
well, how about this for now? We'll plan on the next meeting in March, and you can communicate with the city manager.
I was gonna say, maybe we'll contact the city manager and planner tomorrow and see if there's an availability between now and then to do it so that we can get to the city council as well.
What we can do to pick up the time, so if we would have had the meeting tonight, then we would go to city council, schedule the public hearing for the special project, a meeting after that, so we could work with city council to try to schedule that, even though it hasn't been here yet. If
Yeah,
we-
I'm good with that.
So
Because
you
we
won't
would
lose
have
any
to
time
notice
then.
that public hearing.
Yeah, then you
we can
wouldn't lose any
notice
time
it
at all,
early.
so.
Yeah.
So they could schedule it, and if everything goes great, we have it, if not, it's just canceled, so you'd lose 0 time then.
That would be terrific, thank
I
you.
think we
Yeah,
could do that.
so that's probably the
Okay.
better way.
The mayor controls that agenda, so that might work.
All
Put it
right.
on him. We can do that,
And
and
so-
then you won't lose time.
So Nick, just to be clear, what is that then? Is it going to be on March 4th,
Yeah,
the
so
next
do-
meeting, or are you going to look at?
Yeah, we'll do March 4th, but then we'll ask the city council to schedule the public hearing, the next meeting after March 4th, so they wouldn't lose them one day, so.
You got it. Okay,
So you
wonderful, thank
really,
you.
that only push you back 2 weeks.
Right.
That way.
Mr. Mayor, would it be appropriate to ask, Vidia in her review letters did a nice job and offered, I think, 6 conditions, which makes sense. And in fact, we submitted a letter to clarify those points and essentially said we agree with those letters. So what we'll do in the spirit of trying to compress time is we'll update our drawing packets to include those 6 motions. We'll certainly learn more about the bond, and that makes sense. If the commission felt as though there were any other conditions that we're not aware of that you'd like us to consider, understand it's not a vote, but maybe just some feedback, what I'd like to do is update our drawing packets so that we can print them and get those to Jeremy and Nick as quickly as possible. So if there's anything beyond those comments that you'd like us to be aware of, we certainly are open to hearing anything.
Do you have bike racks?
We do. We've got,
Perfect.
We've got bike racks inside of each building, inside of the parking areas of each building.
Bike rack next to a bathtub.
Bike racks, the
There you go.
bathtub.
There you go.
We do.
There you go. All right, thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, is there any further miscellaneous comment out there? Any comments from the, all right. Councilmember Trent, would you like to? Yeah.
I tried to raise my hand through technology. It didn't work, so.
I'm sorry, you were.
I don't know what happened. I'm sure it was all my fault, but it wasn't working and it wouldn't unmute. So I'm Marilyn Trent, 624 West University. I wanted to ask about the shoreline that you have, that you own, or you have the trees and shrubs along there. I was concerned about the erosion. That is my expertise. And I wanted to have more input on the types of trees and the type of shoreline vegetation. I liked it that you're using, and I liked it that you said that you weren't going to be using the pesticides, would have the runoff, because that's what Eagle is requesting now for runoff for fertilizers that create algae bloom. So.
Certainly, we've submitted landscape plans, and we've shown them they're not meant to be construction drawings at this point, but site plan drawings. So there's some information, but I'm a landscape architect as well, and just right in the area. So I'd love to work with the city and making sure the tree varieties and such are the right ones.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Mayor, add, that's a shoreline stabilization controlled by Eagle, even areas, so they've got all kinds of standards. So too, and actually, if I'm not wrong, Joey, there's a little sliver that somebody else owns from the river up to the top. I keep saying that, but it keeps showing up on our property. Somebody owns a little, yeah. So
I'm not sure.
okay.
What do we make them pay for?
Yeah, there you go. But no matter what, yeah, it's a stabilization zone. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'd heard of bits of it, that's what I assumed, but I wanted to make sure that I.
Yep, that will be reviewed by our landscape folks. Yep.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, then, my hand is down.
All right, thank you. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I can't believe I almost forgot.